the Dragon Con Skeptrack 2023 wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us in our last discussion of the weekend, our favorite weekend of the year, right? Okay. Yeah, Margaret's been working her booty off. I know you needed a nap. But we have with us Dr. Dana Bevan down there at the end. We have Margaret Downey, and Mandisa Thomas has been so gracious as to join us. We have, since this is a heavy travel day, a lot of folks had to leave to catch flights and such. So, did we meet our goals? Did we meet our goals?
Silence means yes.
Okay. Mandisa, what do you think?
I'm not really sure as to what this year's goals were, but like as far as on the Skeptrack.
Well, did you meet your personal goals?
Yes, I did.
I know you are having your birthday today.
Yes, today is my birthday.
For spending your birthday with us.
I am 47, and I got 2 gifts here. I got a birthday cupcake and a bottle of wine. Thank you, Dr. Angie.
You're welcome.
Yes, and cake on Friday. Yes, to celebrate Leanne. Yes, thank you for that reminder. Also, this weekend was Leanne Lord's birthday. So, yes, we tend to spend our birthdays here at Dragon Con.
Well, we're so happy to have y'all here.
Yes, it was great.
Yeah. So, what was your best experience of the weekend?
So, I really enjoyed the parade.
Yeah?
I really, really enjoyed the parade this year.
Remind us what you did this year.
Yes, so I was Mary Jackson. And for those of you who aren't familiar with her, she was NASA's first Black woman space engineer. She was one of the protagonists in the movie Hidden Figures, which was based on her and 2 other Black women's experience working with NASA on the space race in particular. And it's also based on a book that spotlights her and other women who became relatively unknown in that field. And so it was important, and I'm glad that I was asked to play one of those characters because I learned some stuff about her. And I was like, wow, yeah, this was just amazing to be a part, to represent skeptics and women in history and Black women in history who, if it wasn't for their work, then, then space travel as we know it may not be where it is today. So that was really, really great.
Yeah, we had that panel this morning on the moon landing hoax where people believe that we didn't really land on the moon, but this is a woman who made that possible. I mean, like for reals. And we're so grateful that she was able to be there at a time when we really needed all of our brain power. Mm-hmm. And it's a shameful part of our history that so much of our brain trust is just not allowed to advance. And I'm so happy now that's changing.
Absolutely. I just find it absolutely mind-boggling that people think that the moon landing is a hoax.
Isn't right?
I'm just I'm astounded by that. I mean, I can understand to an extent some conspiracy theories, but when they just start going off the rails and you start making things up, and it's usually not based on anything factual, and people just take it and run with it, it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that was a great talk. And in fact, all of our talks will be available on the YouTube Skeptics. I thought I saw a sign. Oh, well. What? YouTube.com/SkepticsTrack. Yep, Skeptics with an S track. Please. You're probably already watching it online if you're. But Margaret Downey is the one who gives the homework for us and shines a spotlight on famous skeptics in history, even if you didn't know they were skeptics. So tell us about that, Margaret.
Well, I did pitch that to Mandisa, the Mary Jackson, and when she read about it, she just jumped on it and studied and was prepared, because we always do a post-parade little podcast like this, and I asked the people who have portrayed certain figures about the figures and the history behind their lives and their accomplishments, and tying in the skepticism. And I love it when people research and are ready to educate others about their character. And congratulations on having a wonderful costume to go with it. She even found out that Mary liked polka dots, so she got a polka dot dress.
Yes, I looked at her pictures and I saw a lot of the polka dots. I'm like, yeah, I sense a theme here.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that was great.
That was that, and we love that. And this year, Leanne told me that she wasn't going to be able to portray Ida B. Wells like she always does. So I found someone at the last minute who portrayed Ida B. Wells, first timer at Skeptrack, and a first timer in the parade. And she loved it. She said she couldn't believe how popular it was. People were yelling Ida B, and trying to get her picture. And she said, I want to do it next year. So we got our,
Yay.
and she's young and just a lovely person. And then she said, I'm going to bring my dad, and he's going to be in the parade next year. So
It strikes me that some of the most popular characters on the parade routes are the ones we weren't expecting to be so popular, but that we realize really need to be represented. So Frederick Douglass was one
Yeah.
that really knocked it out of the park, and kids were so excited to see him.
Yeah, we've had Frederick Douglass a couple of times, but I don't know if I'm going to be repeating myself. But
Well, they may not have seen the early one.
But the Ruth Bader Ginsburg portrayal was extremely satisfying for me this year. I was shocked by how how it made everyone feel. We got kisses, we got hearts, we got chanting and claps and yells. But after the parade, when I was walking around, people, I couldn't go more than a couple yards without people stopping me to take a picture with me or coming up to me and crying, saying, oh, come back, as if I was actually, walking around being dead. But
I'm glad you didn't do Zombie Ginsburg, please. That would be tasteless. That would have been tasteless beyond measure.
But what I was struck with was that I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the character, was really a reminder of what we have lost, and that it made people, just shed tears and want pictures and thanking me, thanking Ruth for all of what she did.
Yeah.
I did think of something funny to do next year as Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Oh?
Yeah, I saw a lot of children and even infants at the con, and I thought, well, maybe I'll dress a baby doll up as a Supreme Court judge and call her Baby Ruth.
Oh. We know how you love a visual pun for sure. Tell them what you were carrying around as Ruth in the
gavel
and the legal briefs.
Yes, the legal briefs.
She had some boxers that were embroidered legal briefs. She loves a pun. It's fun, but and some of the visual costume puns were terrific too.
Yeah, well, even on the train as we were Marta. As we were coming over this morning, we saw two young ladies, and we talked. I asked them, "Did you see the parade?" And they said, "Oh, we loved Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the Skeptics. Oh, their signs were so terrific."
Margaret, you did those. You get full credit for that. And of course, we're gonna need more people in the parade. You have really started that. That was all you, and we can't even. I begin to appreciate. To thank you. Because you really have the front line on the outreach. It's so heartening, and you work so hard. You do all kinds of things, including the Thomas Paine Project, and so.
Well, one of the things that happened today was I kept feeling something jabbing me, and I finally just kind of pulled my sleeve, and I realized it was a needle and thread that had fallen from when I was sewing all the costumes.
No.
Fallen into my sleeve.
Oh dear. Oh my goodness. So Dana, did you feel like you got accomplished this trip, what you wanted to accomplish, or this meeting?
Yes. Starting about a month ago, I had no idea what I was going to say. And unraveling the knot of free will is a prodigious undertaking. So I didn't get a whole lot of sleep the last 3 weeks trying to pull it together. But it finally came together late last week.
Yeah.
But the other thing that was my other goal was I got married in July.
So happy for you.
And,
Congratulations.
And we have a 15-year-old in our home.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
And it was fun to see her dress up and have a good time.
Oh, that was so wonderful. We got to meet your wife. She was beautiful and so kind, and I'm so excited for you. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So
I but one of my, are you going to ask what I didn't do?
No.
Okay.
But I want to
one of the things I've always wanted to do was be Hypatia for Margaret.
Oh, sold. You're in.
But I don't think they make enough white material to you need a very large sheet to cover me.
Margaret will make it happen.
We actually have a standing Hypatia.
Oh, you
Christina, she's back there.
Oh.
She's my assistant for the parade.
Oh, yes.
And she always, has dibs on that. But
well,
I can think of something else for you. There's a couple of other things I can do with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you're so smart and everything. We've got lab coats. We can think of something about a researcher. You know, that would be fun.
I think I used to have a lab coat. But
I might have one. So, well, what do we need to do more of? And we really do want to. I know there aren't a lot of people left because it's end of DragonCon, and people are either asleep or passed out or going home. But we have a microphone there. And did you meet your goals of the con? Did anybody have any things that they want to see more of? They want to see less of? Are there any things that we need to address? Thank you for not touching the mic.
Sure. Yeah. I've been in this room a few times. I guess my personal goal was I had back surgery in June.
Oh.
And so I didn't decide until last week that I was coming. So I was happy I was able to come and get around.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, thanks. One thing I enjoyed this year was I enjoyed like the molecular skepticism. I also enjoyed the one earlier today about the scam of faith healing. I enjoyed the one about talking about a lot of the documentary, with the IBLP and the shiny happy people. So one thing I would like to see more, and I've seen it in the past, where there's panels about the various types of scams and frauds out there and how they work, because some are pretty obvious, but some are actually quite clever. Like the faith healing one, I had no idea about how they manipulate the legs and stuff. So I think that would be fun to see, is more things about fraud or things that you can share with people who are falling for these kind of things. Mm-hmm. One question I do have is, and it isn't just this panel, but I notice a lot of the panels will be closed in between and there'll be lines, and they won't start loading until maybe 5 minutes before the panel starts. And I just didn't know if there's a reason for that, or...
It's usually because I forgot to open the door. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll try to be better.
Actually, Mark needs time.
Well, he does, but I need to be opening the door a little earlier. And I'm sorry about that. Thank you for pointing that out. I noticed it too, and I'll try to be better about it.
Yeah. Well, again, it wasn't just this. It was a lot of them where, there's already lines forming, and then they wait till the last minute to start loading. And I understand you need some time in between, but it's like...
Well, we're trying to prep, and then somebody needs to take absolute responsibility, and I'll say the buck stops with me.
I could take that on because I'm in the back.
You're in the back. Oh,
mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. Okay. Yeah. We can start doing that.
All right.
That'll work. Just because sometimes I'm trying to get the guests corralled or whatever, and I just forget.
I understand, yeah.
So, and I'm like, where is everybody? And then I realize, oh crap, the front door's not open.
Yeah, but I mean, as always, I enjoyed it.
Thank you for pointing that out. I'm so I'm grateful that you told me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. So Margaret's new job. She's got 75.
I wrote it down.
She'll have 76 now. Okay. Hi, Celestia.
Hi, I like this microphone. It keeps telling me I'm so tall. I noticed the panels this year, or the presentations, seem to be divided into two categories. Inside baseball skepticism, which pretty much got a smaller crowd, all the people who came here who are participating on the track are skeptics, know what skepticism is. And then the wide net, broad appeal, the cryptids brought tons of people in. It was lined around the thing. The poisons one brought in people who were mystery writers and into true crime. The room was packed, standing room only. And for all the panels, especially the panels that are wide net, broad appeal, we need to explain to these people while they're in the room what skepticism is, front and center. And it would be nice to produce a boilerplate. That's what we call it in the PR business, a boilerplate. I'll write it for you.
Okay.
This is 3 sentences about, hey, you're in the skeptics track. What is a skeptic? Well, skepticism is this. It's the crossroads between consumer protection and science public education. And we're not a bunch of people who say that the world is flat. We're not that kind of skeptic.
They're not skeptics.
We're the opposite. And yeah, just a way of saying, and skepticism also touches into all these amazing topics like cryptids. So today we're going to talk about blah, blah, blah. And you as the host could do that, or the person giving the presentation. And because I think a lot of people see the keyword on there that they're interested in. Oh, I want to learn about arsenic for whatever reason. And they come and they sit and they leave, never knowing what a skeptic is or what skepticism can do. So that's my thought.
You know, what about a business card that has little facts about being a skeptic, and how we can, put our YouTube channel link on there, and other things, and just hand them out as people come and go.
I'll make a Skeptrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that way we'll always be in touch with them, and we could even put parade registration, or so that
That's a good idea.
they leave with something, and people love to be given something in these things. So maybe make it interesting and lovely.
We need some swag. Skep swag. Ooh, maybe we ought to do some like yeah. Oh, yeah, what he just said. I'm sorry. My brain's on 7-second tape delay. Sorry. Oh, I see Shara. Hey.
Hi. Yeah, I used to bring those business cards. In fact, I still have one in my wallet, but I used to bring a stack of business cards. What is a skeptic? Short definition on the front. On the back was a list of URLs. I stopped bringing them because it was, my personal expense, and they were just sitting on the back, and sometimes they would get taken, sometimes they wouldn't. But I still have the template for it. I can bring them.
Well, that's a great fundraising thing that we can try to do. I couldn't do the parade without Dr. Angie. She donates on a regular basis, and maybe we can find a donor who will subsidize that particular project.
Yeah, but I still carry them around in my wallet, and so I can do that again.
That'd be great. Oh, we need ribbons on the badges.
Yeah, ribbons on the badges.
We need some ribbons. I know. All right, that's your project for next year, Celestia. You're welcome. Would you please step to the microphone, sir? Yes. Don't you have the mic? You have the wireless over there. I mean, we can't see you, but we could hear you at least.
I'll be the voice of God. No, it's not Hi. Yeah, the voice of God now.
Okay, so that for those of you who are watching, that's Derek Colanduno. He is the track director and the founder. He co-founded the track with Ben Radford. And
Ben and me and Randy, and Jeff Wag, and Robin, Swoopy McCarthy. Yeah, we're the ones who basically founded the whole thing. Yeah.
Right. Yay!
But I was saying that, like, the Skeptrack does one thing very well, is it gives people ideas, and then we say, well, go. Do it. That's how Margaret got roped into the craziness of the parade.
Yeah.
She's all like, you should have a parade entry, and we're all like, it's yours. You do that.
Exactly what happened. She came in and said, do you know there's a parade? I said, everybody knows there's a parade. It's like, well, there's like all the comic people and all that. There's no like skeptics or science people. I was like, okay, this is like, why aren't you? Could you see all this crazy stuff I'm doing? It's like, well, give me a name. I'll go and find out how to do it. It's like, sure. And then she's like, I was like, run with it.
Yeah, and we're really grateful for that.
Yeah, that's great. I
we
love
love
that
that.
she does it.
What if I may, it's great to have someone like Margaret who will take it on and stick with it, because what we see in oftentimes in these spaces in these communities is people have a lot of wonderful ideas. And in the beginning, it's exciting. In the beginning, there's enthusiasm, and then it tends to wear off.
Well, not just that, but it becomes, life intervenes.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
Yeah,
I'm
that
a
too.
practicing
Yes, it
emergency
does.
physician with 2 kids, and
Yeah.
and family, and it's just really hard to coordinate. You have
It is.
personal
Yeah.
Well,
demands on your time as well, and
Exactly, Angie. I've noticed the difference. Like when your kids are younger, like there's a massive difference amount of like how active you could be on the track. Like when your kids are younger, it was like tepid, and now you're like, oh, they're old enough.
Yeah.
well, they participate too.
Yeah,
Wolf
yeah,
was
that's
here
what I mean.
last year.
Yeah,
He asked
yeah.
another question. You asked him the first question.
Yeah.
Skeptrack.
Her son was the first person to ask a question on this track.
But it's still important. It is important to get the kids to come. So y'all bring your kids too. We need fresh blood. I'm getting older. I want to.
By the way, I was talking about this earlier. There were more little kids this year than I've ever seen at DragonCon.
It's generational.
I mean, there's so many. I mean, when I say little, like under like 6 and under.
Yeah.
I've seen maybe 1 or 2 every year, but this year I saw tons.
The pandemic procreation
Probably.
is what
I mean, possible
is what was said.
because I mean, I saw 1 or 2 in the past. In fact, DragonCon used to have free childcare, and man, if they had that now, I think they wouldn't be able to handle it.
So, is there anything that you're sick of that we do too much of?
Talking.
I know something that's too much.
What's that?
Derek, you have got to do something about that music.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the DJ.
Oh, yeah. So,
my
yeah.
gosh.
Okay,
the
so
disco was
It
really
was
loud.
rattling.
I talked to them when I had to go down there for the door last time. I'm gonna have to put in my after action report because what happens is the DJs are solo and they bring in their own equipment.
Right.
So it's not like, oh, we'll move the speaker because every single one puts it together.
Theirs go up to 11.
Yeah. So
No, they
I have to
go
put it
on
in my
till
after
12.
action report and then give some suggestions. Like that first day, we could hear it, but it was far away because that time it was out there. But then they moved it. They cleared off all the furniture right under us and made it a dance floor. But it's right underneath where the speaker was right underneath.
Right.
Mark's
But Derek,
setup.
the actual walls were shaking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's not right.
Yeah. And I had a lot of complaints from the audience members too, especially.
No, I complained.
Yeah.
I complained to the hotel.
Yep.
And they said, well,
Yep. I see a question at the mic.
We need
Don't
to-
touch the mic.
It's Mark.
We need to, we need to put that in the track feedback. So the more they hear it, the better. We're definitely got to do an after action report.
Yeah. Also,
And what was
please,
different
the
this
best-
year? Go ahead.
I was gonna say the best thing for the track is always use the app for DragonCon and the feedback. So like if you say, oh, by the way, I loved everything, but the bass for the DJ was annoying because it all started like every what it was like.
Yeah, the thing is when they set that dance floor up, it is literally right below my booth over here.
Yep.
And if you sat where I was, I could not even hear this room.
Exactly.
Because of the bass. But in previous years, that DJ has been in the lobby on the other side of the lobby,
And
not
it was a
directly
great
below us.
party. It was a wonderful party in the lobby.
So whoever decided to move it this year and put it there, I know they didn't even consider the fact that it would affect us like that. No. But we need to let them know that so they know that for next year and go, oh, okay, we're going to have to put it back in the lobby or put it somewhere else or something.
Yeah, because some people are here for panels. Some people are here for the movie. There's movie rooms right next door.
Yeah, right across.
And I can't imagine they could have heard anything.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Also, like, I mean, everybody, if you were here when the bass started, you kind of could tell the difference between the audio and video production because they couldn't hear anything.
That's right.
I'm fighting the noise coming in from downstairs, and unlike the DJ, I have open mics and a PA in the room, so I can only push them so high. You'll hear all the little ringing I get because I'm trying to push the mics up as possible without getting feedback. But he's got a closed circuit. He doesn't have an open mic. He doesn't have that problem, so he can crank the volume up. And I'm fighting that, so it's a delicate balance because I'm also sending audio to the stream. I'm sending audio to the recording. I'm doing in-room audio, and I've got to find a funny balance between all that. Yeah. And I can't fight somebody who has no limit on their upper volume.
Yeah, I actually.
So we do the best we can.
Yeah, I mentioned it. Like, 3 or 4 people came up to me when I was sitting here. I'm like, why is there so much like weird feedback this year? I said, you ever notice it doesn't happen until around 10 o'clock at night? It's like because downstairs.
Well, that's something I'd like to explain to people who've never mixed audio. If you go to a concert, the audio engineers will have set all the audio levels for the lead vocalist or whoever's on stage. They do a mic check, and they're able to EQ the room and set levels so that you don't get this feedback. Every time we do a panel, I have a new person on a mic. Sometimes they're back here, and I have to push the mic. Other times they're on top of the mic, and that affects my balance. And I don't get it. We don't do mic checks. We have no ability to do that. So I have to EQ on the fly, and that is tough to do. So that's why we get those little ringings, because I'm trying to adjust the EQ while people are talking, and I can't do that unless they're talking. So right now I could not adjust any of your mics. I could only adjust this one.
And then add that to the fact that once 8 o'clock rolls around and they have bass under your ears, you can't hear anything.
That changes the EQ of the entire room. Yeah. And so if we had one group of people that were always up there, always on the same mics, I could do a mic check ahead of time and we would have wonderful sound. But since every person is different, they need a different EQ on the mic, they have a different volume level. It is a really tough job. And when I have, not just me, but when I have one of my other crew do it, it's a tough job, and I think they do it very well.
They do.
All right, wait, I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna let you finish, but
I'm pretty much done with that.
No. This is the perfect opportunity to brag on Mark, because he does. Number one, we've got the best AV at the con. Yes. Number two, he does this all out of his own personal resources. This is his company. He volunteers his time. He volunteers his resources. And Skeptrack would not be what it is without Mark Ditzler. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I also would like to add one thing, is that I don't do it alone. I have a fantastic crew that comes out and helps me every year. We have a new gentleman this year, David Law, who's never been here.
David.
Yeah, I was gonna. You gave me the names, but why don't you go ahead and thank your crew, because they are fantastic.
Well, I have a long-time returning Sarah Smith here, who spends a lot of time. I have David Law, like I said, was new. Bryant O'Hara is a long-time returning. And most of these people devote way too much time to doing the staff on this track, because I have a very small staff, and it's really tough for me to get volunteers so that I can have like 2 shifts. So these people spend way too much time in this room like I do, and don't get to enjoy the con as much as they should at being a volunteer.
So this, Dave.
Yeah, I don't do it alone. Give these guys a great big thank you.
Yes, thank you.
If you want, I can tell you a story that proves just how much he does compared to the rest of the con. When we get there, you're going to hear my voice.
Come up here, Derek. Nobody can see you.
I know.
Come on.
Maybe the voice of God, man.
No, we don't believe in that. Come on over.
See, Derek's going to put down the wireless. He's going to sit down at mic number 1 there. Now I've got to go EQ his mic.
Thank you, Mark.
Use both of them at the same time, like I'm some like serial killer or something. They interview you. Is this one working now? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So the year of the pandemic, came on pretty late when it comes to Dragon Con time. So when they had to cancel Dragon Con, that's right, in person, we had to do everything remote. that's great. So the next year we had mandates and things, and
Whoa! No, roll that back and talk. He converted his
oh yeah,
entire living
oh
room.
oh yeah, I didn't think
His whole house he converted into a studio. So
Yeah.
I looked like I was at some, like downtown whatever with green
you look
screen
like
and
a
everything.
news reporter.
I know, it was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't that.
I look like John Oliver, except not as funny.
Yeah,
It's
funny.
The videos from that are still out on our YouTube channel. And there's one we did with Rachel, the director of the con, where we talked about what it takes to do the con and how things were different in the virtual world. And in there, I actually do a 5-minute demo up front of like, here's what it took to do it today. And I've got the non green screen filled in shots, so you get to see the digital studio we had if you're interested in what it took to do that stuff. It was fun.
Thank you for reminding us about that. That was so cool.
Well, thank you for reminding me to actually talk about that because I was going somewhere else.
Okay, and I understand. Now go on. No,
it's kind of funny.
To the new place.
Yeah, so the next year, they decided slightly too late that they were going to actually do in person. And then DragonCon was working with the CDC to come up with in-person event protocols. And DragonCon's people actually did most of the work. So it wasn't until like 2 months, maybe a month and a half before the convention that they said, by the way, we're going to do one in person. It was very limited, so they sold out. But when that happened, Mark's, he had a family issue where he could not risk that person becoming ill.
My wife is immunocompromised.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to take a chance on getting anything. And they didn't put the COVID precautions in place soon enough for me to prepare.
Yeah. So
it was that simple.
So he put a thing on our YouTube channel that we're talking about that talked about why he can't be there, kind of like preparing people that usually come and see all this and say, I don't know what's going to be there. And then the person in charge of all the AV for DragonCon contacted me and said, I saw that video. Said, I know you have a lot of stuff. Let me see what I can do to like make sure it's as close as we can get. I says, I didn't even ask him. He just came to me. I said, okay. So I contacted Mark. Mark sent me some blueprints and some like basic what they used. I gave it to Bill. And then Bill, when I got here for the setup that year, he had like 5 to like 7. You remember that? Maybe had 5 or 6 of his like staff were here. They were wiring everything up like his staff does. And so I'm thinking, well, that's amazing. Thank you, Bill.
5 or 6 people?
No, it was more. I think.
I do it with 4.
I know.
We know, Mark.
It was
we
insane.
know.
No. You have no idea, Mark.
This is why we're bragging on you.
I'm bragging
we know.
because they were here all the time, Mark. Because the amount of work that they were doing makes you like superhuman, and it wasn't nearly as much as actually you do. So great. After the convention, about 2 months later, I get a phone call from the third person in charge. By the way, if you didn't know, DragonCon's run by women. The chairwoman.
Everything's run by women.
Yeah. Well, it's like the chairwoman, the next person down is Regina, who is like basically the den mother. And there's like, anyway, so I get this phone call for Regina, and Regina says, I have to have a talk with you. You could never do what you did last year ever again. I said, what did I do? I don't know what I did. She's like, you use so much AV. I said, well, you only notice that because I never use any of it. I mean, all we do is like some curtains, some TVs, that's it. She said, no. You had more AV equipment in your room than all the other ballrooms combined. I said, I didn't ask for that. The guy in charge of AV, of tech ops, did that and asked me for plans, and he came and his people did it. And she was like, no, you won't realize. They're like, there was almost nobody in tech ops every time people went. It's like, I didn't ask for any of this. But what I made me realize is that's how much, we only had about maybe 60 to 70% of what Mark does. And what they basically told me is that Mark does more than every other ballroom in the entire convention.
Yeah, we definitely have the best AV.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Mark, you make us all look so good. Thank you so much.
I have a question for Dave, the new guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Dave.
Come on, Dave.
He's
Let's
not.
see your.
He's not in the room. He
bummer.
got the draw the straw for the break right now.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask him if he had a good enough time that we would see him again next year.
Oh, here goes Sherry. She's going to ask.
Well, wait a minute. She's going to speak.
Don't touch the mic.
I can ask him because I've already asked him that, so I can answer.
Okay.
So yeah, he really enjoyed it. This was not only his first time volunteering for the Skeptrack, this was his first time at Dragon Con.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he had never been before, and I dragged him into it. And so he said he had a good time. He really enjoyed a lot of the panels. He got to meet one of his favorite authors, Michael Stackpole.
Oh.
Yeah, he's always admired Michael Stackpole, so we got to meet him here at the Skeptrack.
By the way, Mike Stackpole is the reason I'm a director.
Is he?
Mike Stackpole is a good friend of mine, has been for a long time. At the time when I got a podcast going, he said, "Do you go to Dragon Con?" I was like, "Yeah, as an attendee, I go all the time." He said, "And Mike Stackpole was, because he does books, he was doing audiobooks of his novels. He's a writer." He said, "There should be a podcasting track, and since you guys are, my podcast at the time was #1 on iTunes, so you have the cred, I'm going to ask Pat to put in a podcasting track." And he said, "Yeah, sure." So me and Robin started a podcasting track. Now, our show is Skepticality. We don't have that pattern. And at the time...
It was the first skeptical podcast.
Well, I don't know. Me and Steve Novella don't know.
No, y'all beat him by like 20 minutes.
Like, whatever. I mean, we're pretty... Our first episodes were the same, like, within 3 days of each other. We don't know. But, yeah, so because of that, all my guests that I knew were the people we interviewed. So I told them, by the way, you should come to Dragon Con. And so I put those on like the space and science track and EFF. And then after like the second year of that, Pat calls me. He's like, "Okay, so all these people that you bring in, they fill rooms. If I gave you a track for skeptic stuff, would you be able to fill it?" I said, "Sure." So then he gave me, both. We have this podcast and Skeptrack. And then that very first section, if you see these temporary walls, that very first section was our first year of Skeptrack, and that would have been 2008. And then the next year we got like one more section, and then a couple of years later we got another one, and then eventually got the whole thing.
And then we ate the podcast track.
We ate the podcasting track, which is this section here. And then after that, every year I put in my after action to do never, ever, ever move me. Because our track is big enough where they keep threatening that you might need a bigger room. And if that happens, it's going to be a different hotel, unless I can get the Crystal Ballroom. And I think Mark would die for that.
That would be acceptable.
The only problem is we're left with an airplane hangar format.
Yeah, I know.
I'd rather have wide and not as deep.
True. So my problem with moving...
Hang on. Since Dragon Con has agreed that we use more tech than all the ballrooms, we should get a ballroom.
Okay.
How about the Grand West? That's our track room.
Okay, so
I mean, they've already refused my request to cut a hole in the floor so I can make a stage that rises
I know.
up.
He's not kidding. He's not kidding.
I'm not.
He wanted to have a hole so he could bring the guests up.
I would also the one thing I don't like about this room is we have a 10-foot ceiling.
I know.
Which I have no choice but to put the lights where they are, and that, we hear a few complaints about the lights in people's eyes when we turn them on out here.
Yeah.
But there's just no other way for me to do it. If I had a higher ceiling, I could get a better angle, and then it wouldn't be bothersome. But that's why I really want a bigger ballroom.
Yeah.
I want a higher ceiling so I can put in the proper.
No, well, okay, so as a person who has been in marketing most of my life, I don't like the idea, because right now, every single person at Dragon Con walks right by our front door.
That's true.
Every single, without a doubt, every single person.
But they still come to the Crystal Ballroom, and it's really out of the way. And
but they go because they come here and they learn about our stuff.
But I'll tell you, if I may, having one of the ballrooms on this floor might be better.
Yeah, that's not
like,
big. I've
for
talked. I've
It'd
talked
be
to them.
quieter.
Yes,
No, no,
I
It'd be a lot
agree.
quieter.
I've already talked to them about that. That's not
Okay.
going to happen.
It's a
Oh,
new year
good.
though. Maybe we can make it happen.
No, it's not going to happen because they need those ballrooms. That they're full all the time.
Oh.
And other tracks don't
They can
have
this
any
room.
space. Like other tracks have, on average, about a third to a quarter of our space. So they need those ballrooms nonstop. We hardly ever use them. You know, only when we know for a fact we need that much space. Or if it's like a show, like the magic show, you can't do that in here. So that's the only times we actually do it that way. Otherwise, you know, in fact, all those ballrooms, they love the fact that they finally have them, because before the remodel, that was just one giant room. And then that big ballroom didn't exist because that was the pool. So we don't have any here anymore because of that. But yeah, that's probably not going to happen just because they need those rooms.
Yeah, at least it didn't rain in the track room this year.
I thought
That
it
was
might
fun.
yesterday. It started to get warm.
Well, last year there was a big flood on the 8th floor, and it was about 2 feet deep up there. So
I know.
So I hope your equipment survived, Mark. So is there anything else anybody wants to add to the? I think a couple of people have drifted in, but anything you want to see more of, anything you want to see less of, anything that we did really well, anything we did really badly? Anyone?
If anybody has friends who are like popular folks, who are like writers or scientists, let me know. We can get them like slotted in if they want to actually talk on the track.
That actually was one of the things that I wanted to mention, that the DragonCon website, dragoncon.org, has a drop-down menu if you want to participate either as a speaker or as a volunteer for the con. This is a labor of love, and everyone here is volunteering their time.
Everybody.
And lots of times they're volunteering other resources, like Shara's been very nice and offering cards for us to help communicate our message of skepticism. And people donate their time, their money, their energy. Some of us try to donate money so that we don't have to donate time, but then we end up doing time too. So
You just use it like
Margaret.
Yeah, so like even the people in charge of the entire convention, they're all volunteer. In fact, like the people that like run the whole thing, they live way out of town. Like something like 2.5 to 3 hours to come in for our directors meetings.
It's
because
worth it.
I mean, they have real jobs and they don't make money from this. So.
It's worth a trip, though.
It is, and I'm inspired because it really shows the level of dedication that you all have to making sure that not just this track goes well or is successful, but that the convention is successful, because you really, really have to be dedicated to it. And, you know, I just really appreciate that as,
Well, you've developed your own organizations, and you know how hard it can be, because you have personalities to deal with and you have logistics to deal with. So we're very grateful that you come and spend some of your time with us, because you actually do a table out on the main promenade. Talk to us about that. How was your experience out there?
It was, yes. So my organization is Black Nonbelievers, for those who did not see the table out there. Tables, thank you. So we are headquartered here in the Atlanta area, and we have been a part of DragonCon and Skeptrack since 2014.
Oh God, I thought it was longer than that.
Yeah, no, it's been just a little. Thank you, Mark. I'm not touching the mic. Yeah. So it's been a really, really great experience connecting with folks here. The first year, people were like, "Well, who the hell are you?" You know, like, why does there need to be a? But we also have folks who were like, "Wait, you mean to tell me that there are organizations that actually provide community for non-believers, not just Black non-believers, but non-believers in overall?" And so they're really excited about that, and people actually look forward to seeing us here every year. And that gave me an idea, since you said the ballroom will probably never happen. It's given me a good idea for flyers for us to come up with, to put in the room, to say, hey, come see us on this area. You know, so that's always the organizer in me as well. So, and also I've had the opportunity and to help provide content for the Skeptrack, and I'm thinking of some good stuff for next year. So
the year that Mark, we just talked about that. The year that Mark couldn't make it, I used all your people.
Yeah.
All the Black non-believers, staff people that work with you.
Shout out to Alvin, who comes every year
Alvin
now.
Stoltz.
I've got a whole line to thank Alvin.
Oh yeah, I'm
God
sorry.
dang
Go
it,
ahead,
y'all are
Angie.
stealing my thunder.
But that's what I came from. All
I was
of
gonna
her
thank Mark's
volunteers
staff. Mark
volunteered
comes
here
up,
that year. to
And
help
that
us.
was my daughter too. Talking about the kids, my
Yeah.
daughter helped
Yeah,
that year
yeah.
as well. And that's the one thing that we always encourage is to connect our members with events like this because so many of them attend. Or there's always quite a few folks who want to attend, and it's like, well, you can also be a part of it. It's always great for that. So,
I remember all the commentary I got when the first year I got tables for you near all the science stuff and the skeptic stuff, and it was like I didn't realize that I thought that's not. It's normally blacks are all Baptists, aren't they? I was like, no. Or Muslim, or I was Muslim. I was like, I will tell you what my dad, who looks like a black man, always says. It's like, I don't understand why any black person would be religious if you look at the history of this country.
So Celestia's up at the mic.
Well, on that note, a panel for next year. I think we were talking about this privately. It'd be nice to have a panel that's just skeptics who aren't old white dudes.
Well, I tried that. I try that as much as I can.
We started out on this panel with 4 white women, if you noticed.
I can make that happen.
Or 3 white women.
You've been working on that.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to get more people of all stripes in every panel. But what I mean is a panel specifically discussing what's it like to be in skepticism and not be an old white guy. And how, because that's a constant conversation. How to get more people into skepticism who aren't. Nothing against old white guys.
We did some of that way back at the beginning, and it didn't taste well for many people. Even if they didn't, I mean, we complained at those people. We're like, you didn't even come to see what it was, and they're like, they just didn't like the idea of it. But
I've had we have a similar problem with women in a lot of the communities and not being represented. And then we had somebody who was trying to say, well, what about having yet another panel on women being, of women about women. I'm like, well, but why don't you, about women being more active? I said, why don't you just put them in? I mean, because we don't need a special panel on getting people more involved. Just do it.
Yeah, I was skeptical of that.
Me too. So that's why I'm like, well, just put women up there. I mean, we're responsible for putting people on the stage. Let's put them up there.
I really try, but you'd be amazed how hard it is.
Well, I mean, they have lives. People have lives. They don't.
I'll tell you what is. I'm sorry not to cut you both off.
No, please.
But, what is important? What's good is that I have 2 very wonderful new leaders of affiliate. Well, one is Cynthia McDonald, who is our new affiliate leader for Chicago. She's very, very heavily involved in the reparations movement and the economic justice movement as an atheist and as a skeptic. Tina Marshall is of our Charlotte affiliate. She's been here before.
I met her.
Yeah, she's into reproductive justice. And so these are things that matter to us.
She wasn't here, but I've seen her talk.
Yeah, and we're all going to be working on getting them here next year.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And these are subjects that are relevant to a number of us. They're relevant to the skeptic community, and they're intersectional. So these are, this is a part of the subject matter that might help bring in new skeptics.
Yes.
Because these are, and then when it comes to, it's not just because, you can have women who come in and espouse some of the same things as these old white dudes, right? But you have these women who are very, very focused in these areas as well. And these are things that are very important and I think would really get more people.
Plus someone like Kathy McDonald. She is part of the Godless Gospel.
Oh, Cynthia, yes.
I'm sorry, Cynthia. And Cynthia, she could bring us talent plus. And I'd like to see us bring in more talent.
So everybody's getting some inside baseball, what it's like when we talk to each other during the year.
Margaret and my chopped liver, you know I'm in Godless Gospel too. I sing.
Yes, well, I was gonna. That's what I meant.
Yes,
By bringing
yeah.
in Cynthia, you could have like a Godless Gospel because you've got then two people that with the
Does anybody
talent.
else notice, and it
So,
makes me angry that like the past like 2 or 3 years we had no singers.
yeah, that's disheartening.
We've had singers every year of Skeptrack from the beginning until like the past 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been. That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Because
Cynthia, I just contracted with Cynthia. She's going to be doing a Thomas Paine special for me in January.
Cool.
So
you know, Candace is also in Godless Gospel. Candace Gorham.
Cool.
So
yeah,
there's some really
going.
Good.
Yeah.
So if any of you guys have ideas, well, you can just send an email.
That's right.
Because we really we do take them, and a lot of the people that you see that come to the track is because people like you just said, hey, by the way, I want to see this person. The first thing I'll ask you is, do you have a personal contact information? A lot of people don't. So we'll try to track it down.
Dana, you're probably the one that has the most psychological training. Any ideas on how to influence more people to participate and to be active and to I don't know. Were you satisfied with representation that you saw?
Well, I think we brought up the kinds of things we need to explain more what being skeptical scientific means.
Sure.
And there is a good description in the program, but that story needs to get out.
You're right.
And that sells itself because it's people don't think we're just skeptical about everything and nihilistic, using the skeptics term. So we need to say what we're for as well. Good science.
That's a really good point, because there's a lot of times when I feel like we're just against things and not really actually embracing that part that we are for.
Reminds me of that song in the Hamilton movie.
Right.
Just tell them what they're for, not all the stuff you hate.
Yeah, that's a good point. Does anybody else have any suggestions? We've got a few minutes left. Microphones up in the middle.
Time for like one more. Come on! I see somebody popping their head up like a meerkat somewhere, right there, back there. No?
No.
All right then.
No, okay. I thought there'd be a question from someone who would want to know about how it is organized. Do you rent this room? Is it given to you? Do we pay for anything?
No, it's all volunteer.
It's all?
The con pays for it.
Okay.
The con makes contracts with every hotel every 5 years for the next 2 years, and they do it every time. And that's how we get new hotels. I think that's the reason why it might be next year, year after, because there's a brand new hotel that's right next to the Hyatt across the street from it, which we might start using. But they keep threatening they might use the Ritz-Carlton too.
Very nice, very nice.
We'd get some ritzy people.
The Ritz-Carlton is not. I mean, I think I don't know. I think the Marriott's nicer.
Yeah. Well, I think they're doing a good job with all of them. So, so again, thank you, Mark Ditzler, for everything. Thanks for your tech crew. Thank you, Alvin, for bringing my phone back to me.
Twice.
Yep. And then thank you so much, Derek. And we didn't mention Sina and Delaney. They were fantastic. They were so kind as to feed the tech crew who rarely gets out of the room.
We had craft services this year.
Right. We had that. So let's see here. And Mark wanted me to thank me for bringing the hotspot. So
for talking a lot.
For bringing the hotspot. I brought the internet this year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So
we wouldn't have any that were streaming this year without Angie. That was a last minute thing too.
Yeah, and she worked her butt off. We went to several places. She was on the phone for many times.
About what was it, about a week or two before the convention, we got word that they wouldn't have the hardwired internet.
We were told at the last minute that we're not getting our normal internet connection here. So we scrambled around, and at that point, I was swamped. And it's like I don't have time to go searching for a solution, so I need you guys to dig that in. And between you and Angie, we're able to pull together this, and
and the least technical person on the team, shall I mention?
Yeah.
and we just
I
can't
couldn't figure out how to get the damn thing open to
I just
put the
said
nano
that.
card in it. I'm in there with a tooth, like one of those flossy things, like going, maybe if I stick it in that hole, it'll pop open. And I got it open, but I had to go to two different T-Mobile stores. Turns out T-Mobile and T-Mobile, no, what the heck was it? Metro are different. Who would know? It's got T-Mobile signage, and I'm in there, and anyway. So we got to
yeah,
sort it out.
sending her links.
And,
Just like,
and we don't want just any hotspot. We had specific needs that we had, some technical needs that we had. And unfortunately, it's not as good as we wanted. So
Hey,
we spent
dude, you got it. Seriously.
That's my
Well,
point.
we all had it.
Are you serious?
The first couple days, I wasn't able to get everything tuned properly. We did get it tuned up Saturday.
Oh, good.
Late, and so we've got a decent stream now. It's not the quality I want, but it's good
Mark,
enough.
Mark, you
but,
wouldn't
but
like
the point
you want
is,
AK
we
streaming.
got it. Thanks to Angie, we were actually able to do it because 2 weeks before the con, I'm going, are we going to be able to stream?
Yeah.
And that I feel is important, even though, maybe we don't get the largest audience on the stream. I still think it's absolutely worth it.
Well, and here's another thing, right? It brings this up, right? So I'm thinking, well, we're the Skeptic track, but there's a science track and there's a space track, which is one floor up, EFF. I'm like, okay, but we've been doing all this stuff. I'm thinking all those tracks too would probably use the internet. Nope.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
we were the only track. I'm still excited. I'm still proud of 2020 that we were the only track that provided 4 days of continuous streaming.
All Mark.
Live.
Nobody
All
else had
Mark.
that. That was all.
We
It was us too. We were cooped up in Mark's house. We were ready to bite each other by the end of it. But boy, did we put out a great show. I was so proud of that weekend.
We did the entire convention the same virtually as we do in person.
Yeah, exactly. That encapsulates exactly what happened, and that's why I'm so darn proud of it. Is we were the only ones that did exactly the same show that we would have done right here in this room.
They even had me for the parade.
Yeah.
Right.
We watched like the virtual parade thing.
It was adorable.
It was really cool.
It was so cool.
Before we get off on another subject, let's back up to my crew, because what David doesn't know is he just showed back up, so now you can ask him your questions.
David, front and center, sir, please. We are so grateful to have you. Don't touch the mic. So,
hello.
Margaret, would you like to ask your question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
This is your first time, so
Yes.
congratulations.
Thank you so
You are
much.
no longer a virgin. And I'd like to know, did you have enough of a good time that you'll come back next year?
I did. Yeah, no, this would be great fun. I'd love to
Good.
come back.
We're so grateful for your help. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And while we're thanking people, I think Dr. Angie needs a round of applause. Thank you for everything you've done. Everything. It's amazing.
It's a labor of love, and gosh, y'all make me look good. I'm just saying.
That's Mark. He does that.
I'm sorry?
Mark does that.
Oh, well, yeah, he does. Definitely does.
The rest of it is you. You have to get dressed and things.
I have to get dressed, yeah. That's true. That's minimum requirement. Sometimes, actually, I've seen some of the costumes.
Well,
So, but no, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Margaret. You're always so kind and generous. And we're gonna go back to my place tonight and order Thai food and wash clothes. So,
Can I just have a shameful plug?
go do it. Yeah.
This is the last opportunity you have to sign up for a complimentary newsletter, which we will cover the Dragon Con events in. And I have a clipboard here that you can give me your email. It's all complimentary. It's your last opportunity to donate to the parade. So please consider doing that.
That's right. Dana, how about you? Some shameless plugs and any last words?
Transgender health and medicine available for medical schools and anybody else who is interested.
Well, my son's in medical school, and so I need that information to send to him and see if they're complying with.
For some reason, my publisher doesn't understand that the audience is in medical schools.
Right. Right.
So yeah, anything you can do to help would be good.
PR people are terrible at their job. I will tell you that right now.
Yeah, I don't know how much I can help, but I boy would love to, because that's a very important notice. My medical school didn't really have a whole lot of transgender. Well, actually, I don't think they had much at all. But but it was also a long time ago. I mean, it's like almost 30 years ago. And so I'm glad that people are becoming more aware now. So Mandisa, last.
Yes, thank you all so much. Thank you, Dr. Angie, for all of your continued support for Black non-believers. We currently have my birthday, celebrate my birthday, encouraging people to support the organization financially. And, thank you. Just thank you all. I just really feel like I am among family here, and I just really appreciate you all. I cannot thank you enough.
Thank you. We love it to have you here. Derek, any shameless plugs?
I'll come back next year.
Sure.
My last contract for work actually ended about a month and a half ago. So I'm unemployed. So if you're looking for a high-end software designer, that's
so you're plugging yourself. That's outstanding.
That's all I got.
Love that. Hey, there you go. You got this.
I got other than track. Oh, the only other thing I got is this. So already good.
Aw. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us this year. We'll miss you so desperately till next year. I'm Dr. Angie. Thank you for joining us on the Skeptic Track at DragonCon 2023. Bye-bye. See you next year.